What is going on, everyone? It's Andy back with you for another episode of the You're Still Here podcast. I told you you're going to be getting one every week until sports starts, and then I'm going to have to try to wheel and deal again. Oh, no, are you going to get one this week? Next? It all depends on how busy the schedule is, because as I told you, I got a lot of shows coming up. It's a good thing. It's a good thing if you're in on sports. Another sportsman who's been here the last couple of weeks, this might be the last time we refer to him as that, is Tony Twist. Tony, how you doing for the last time?
Doing pretty good for the last time.
The reason I'm going to say it's the last time, we had told you a couple weeks ago, I said we might rotate names with him, but now I think we definitely have to, because it was brought to my attention by one of the listeners that the Tony Twist we're referencing, the one that our Tony Twist grew up watching and liked on the St. Louis Blues, it turns out that the creator of Spawn, the comic, if you've ever heard about it, seen it, saw the movie with John Leguizamo, he created a villainous character called Tony Twist. And the Tony Twist we were talking about, the NHL player, sued the creator for the character and won like millions of dollars. How does that work? How do you just see your name somewhere, Tony Twist, and then you get to sue the guy? And he ended up winning. He ended up winning, or maybe they come up to a settlement. But this guy essentially saw his name in a Spawn comic, sued them for using his name, and then, like, I don't know, got millions from it. That seems like a pretty preposterous thing. What if I came up with Mike Smith? Are all the Mike Smiths allowed to sue me for using that name? So rather than the last thing I need is for me to have a big year, come out with a couple of shows, things are finally going well, and then what happens? I receive an email from the actual Tony Twist at gmail.com, and he's letting me know that he's once again going for a second lawsuit. He's already cleaned up on Spawn.
$15 million he won.
Tony Twist,
$15
million because some guy,
Todd McFarlane.
You think it's the other McFarlane? Seth MacFarlane went into comedy with Family Guy, and Todd McFarlane started doing comic books with Spawn. So Tony Twist, I just can't believe this, sued for the character. Hey, by the way, if there's a Bart Simpson out there, go file some lawsuits. Apparently, you can get $15 million. In fact, a couple of our friends, you were a big part of this. I wasn't there for this. There was a massive debate. Would you take $1 million right now? I can see your eyes already getting pissed. Yeah. Now, I wasn't there. It was, would you take $1 million? The guy shows up with $1 million.
Yep.
And you're not allowed to work again?
Not allowed to work again for the rest of your life. You can invest it, but that's it for the rest of your life.
Isn't it always funny when you have these like generic things? Would you take $1 million or not take $1 million? Always those little caveats have to come. Yeah. Can I invest it? Who is bringing that? Yeah. Listen, it's a one sentence thing. You take $1 million now for the rest of your life. There's can I invest it? Can I share some which comes back? No. You got $1 million for the rest of your life. Are you going to quit? Now, a lot of our friends, I believe, were
they were anti. They're not quitting for $1 million.
The interesting thing is, I'm convinced if you presented it as a whole, I think it's hard to say percentage-wise, but I believe a whole hell of a lot of people are taking that $1 million and just saying, "I'll make it work."
Well, our friends are in a very expensive area to live, and they don't see outside of living in that area. Maybe, cutting down on some expenses that they
in terms
enjoy.
Of the national average too. So
Sure.
It's weird. See, that's another asterisk.
I
think,
can't
where am I living?
gamble as much as I do now if I just get $1 million. Those things are a factor for these people.
Yeah, because this is not really groundbreaking news, but $1 million here, or any major city is a lot different in South Dakota.
Sure,
a random town in South Dakota.
Sure.
So you took the $1 million.
I took the $1 million. You taking the $1 million?
Probably, because everything I do, including this right here, it's never been for money. You can go back to some of my first YouTube videos where I spend weeks trying to edit a green screen shot. Why? So one guy can chuckle about it. So I'm kind of motivated by different reasons. I would probably take the $1 million and then just do some things that I wanted to do. And if it doesn't work out, if you go broke, here comes another caveat. Are you allowed to sell pineapples on the beach, or must I be homeless now?
I think you then just die. You
when
run
the
out
money
of the money.
runs out, you die.
I think somebody suggested that. If the money runs out, you die. You still doing it?
These and/or scenarios are so crazy. What happens and it dies? That reminds me of that Louis C.K. joke. Your friend who goes, "What would you do if you had a time machine?" And it's like, this is not going to happen. Why are we waiting? You know what I would do? I would just put it in my fridge right there. I just put magnets on it, and I just leave the time machine right there. There was a second one, and this is the one I got involved in.
Oh yeah.
Would you rather fame or fortune? And I'll give you the accelerated result. Unless there's asterisks, you take the fortune. But basically what I said is, does fame mean I'm doing what I want to do? I don't want to wake up and only have fame. That's nothing. But if it means I got to do all these things that I wanted to do, then yes, I'd prefer the fame than just anonymous money falling into.
Yes, you can choose how you get the fame, how you come to fame.
Then I'm taking the fame. It's not the peripherals of being noticed at a diner, which I
don't want to get noticed.
The lamb's breath night. I got one night of that. That was enough. I told that story where.
Smoke a
by
little.
the way, I didn't tell you his new name. It's Nick Papagiorgio. Nick Papagiorgio, you can go look that up, but it's a legendary name from a legendary movie scene that has to do with money, gambling, millions, not millions. So it's a perfect kind of name. Nick Papagiorgio. He was one of the people who convinced me this is what our friends do to each other, and I'll get back to what we do to each other, because he got me on this occasion. I've gotten him on occasions, but as you can see, I'm a weird guy. I don't need weed. I don't need any extra things in me. I'll start seeing Narnia. So my friends, they were going to smoke one night, and they were going to go to a Cuban diner in Manhattan, and everyone smoked. Like, come on, you got to smoke. And I'll never forget, I said, is this like weed 101, intro to weed? The standard marijuana leaf you see on the Dr. Dre Chronic album?
Sure.
They went, yeah, this is basic weed.
This is regular stuff.
You pull in there, it's a number one at the barbershop. This is the starting weed, and then we branch out. So what happens? I take a couple hits, and they go, yeah, by the way, that's lamb's breath. I smoked a lamb's breath, and of all the nights in the world, I know I've told this story in the past, but he was an integral part of it. Of all the nights for this to happen, somebody randomly at a diner from outside the diner, outside this Cuban diner, points inside at me, brings family members over to see me and point. And they thought I think I was some Spanish soap star or something like that. And for all the nights for it to happen, it had to be while I was on lamb's breath. I don't know how the hell I veered into that. But I do know we're going to get to my revenge on that particular topic. We're still here in the middle of the summer. We're still in July, which means there aren't a lot of sports to watch. Now, a couple weeks ago, we talked about Netflix sharing passwords, how it's ridiculous. It's not, they aren't the NFL. They're not at that, you get one household, one user. And I thought they were getting greedy. I say, you don't have the library to force your one household on us. You got to come up with the goods where we're addicted to it. You got to go full drug use. You can't give me bad drugs and hope that I'm going to get addicted and start doing things. But to your credit, we are not credit refusers here. Maybe in certain scenarios. But I got to give Netflix some credit. Since we ridiculed them, maybe they're watching this podcast. Same thing with Tony Twist looking to cash in on that $15 million. But maybe someone at Netflix heard, you know what, that guy Andy's talking about it. Let's put out some of the good stuff. And I think they heard that there is a void for sports because they came out with that quarterback documentary. Did you watch that quarterback documentary? I did. Even if you didn't watch all of it, it was pretty damn good. The void that Hard Knocks has left, and they're trying to bring that back with the Jets. That's the best team you can try it with. Jets already said we're not allowing to show anyone being cut. And that ran its course, just like American Gladiators, and just like they said on that show. Everything has its moment in the sun where it's right for the time. At that time, Hard Knocks was great, but you keep running it out there. It's like running American Gladiators out there every season. It's like running these running backs who are complaining out there every season. Eventually, it's too much to deal with. No, but this Netflix documentary Quarterback, it was pretty damn good, and it already got renewed for season 2. And one thing that it definitely did was it just awoken the football demons in all of us. You know, you start to see those games. You start to see the highlights.
You start to remember those games.
Exactly. Definitely like those Cincinnati, Mahomes, the Chiefs games. I think Kirk Cousins was like the hidden hero of the show. Full hilarious dad.
The dad clothing. His wife picks it out for him every day.
He had did you see the footage of him singing in, not on stage at like the ESPYs, but in high school? Like he was just
he was
part of like Bye Bye Birdie or whatever the hell it was. And it was pretty good. And when you think of being on the backs of American Gladiators, we told you Black Mirror came out. Was there...
There's one coming out, isn't there?
I just thought maybe there was one more beforehand. God damn. But after this little mini documentary, they released a teaser to an upcoming mini documentary series. I believe there's 4 parts. One is on like the Barry Bonds and Roids scandal. One is on Jake Paul, problem child. One is on, it was 4 interesting topics. But I know Bonds, for me, is a story I want to hear about. Bonds is one of the all-time screw jobs out there. I am pro Bonds. I own one baseball T-shirt, and it's a San Francisco Giants Barry Bonds T-shirt. And that's going to be a good one with the Roids. One is NFL related. I just can't remember what it is. So Netflix, I got to give you credit. You're still not at the level where you can just start demanding one household at a time.
No, they're 2 for 2 so far on Gladiators and Quarterbacks.
But it's better than nothing because, you know, sometimes there was a while there. Netflix was just it was atrocious. All backup movies. It was just movies. I told you last time, like if you looked at the top 10, it was an assortment of movies that came out over a decade ago. I don't know. They were trying to rebrand it or something like that. But it's good that they have some original stuff. You know, for a while there, HBO just was cracking us with good ones on Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. There was The Last of Us and then Succession. And then before that was White Lotus. So they killed it for a while. Now they're slacking over there. Netflix picking it up. So that's good to see. But, you know, with this happening, of course, we finally got some TV to watch. And summer is when all the big movies come out, you know, summer blockbusters, although there's a grand total of 0 of them. It's the perfect time for actors and writers to go on strike. Now, I'm not going to get into all. The reason they're striking is because of the changing landscapes. For example, if I put Friends on TV and Friends generated a certain rating and they knew this many millions of people were watching, you get to use that as a bargaining chip when you're going for your next contract and you get a nice big fat chunk of money. But the thing with Netflix, when you make a show for Netflix, they actually have all the data to themselves. Only they know how many people are viewing things on a weekly basis. So you don't get that bargaining chip. And I know it's the same type of thing for stand-up comedians. They talked about they're offered this flat fee from Netflix, and many times they think it's great. But if they actually knew how many viewers were watching the comedy special, then they would have a bargaining chip to actually know, like, oh, no, well, if this many people watched my last one, but they don't know that because Netflix keeps all of its number. It withholds that information from everyone. So now the actors and writers are trying to find a way to, combat that to get a bigger slice of the pie, and also to mitigate the oncoming potential AI onslaught of AI-generated scripts, AI-generated actors.
Jesus.
I mean, I think it's only a matter of time. If you look, 2007, iPhone came out. Now we got ChatGPT. I think it's fair in 8 years. You know, you see deep fakes. How about the fake Tom Cruise? those videos of that fake Tom Cruise guy walking around. It's only a matter of time before you're getting fake actors. And you can't tell I already told you, Gen Z doesn't watch movies. They're watching their phone with the movie in the background. So imagine you're watching this, but you're actually watching that movie. You don't need to see the minute details on that actor's face. You're not even really watching most of the movie. But that's probably around the corner, and they want a chunk of that. I mean, they just made a Black Mirror episode about that in the last season. It was the one with, why did I forget her name? From Dusk Till Selma Hayek. The brain triggers are ridiculous. Like, I couldn't think of the name Selma Hayek, so I was just went, Dusk Till Dawn, hot girl dancing, snake on shoulders, Selma Hayek. So, yeah, we got that strike going on, but I don't know. You know, there's a lingering. You don't feel the effects of that because most of the stuff
is already done.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't impact many people all that much because you let us limp over to September. We're good. We're good straight through winter and everything. So that's what we're going. And it's been a pretty good stretch on that front. I'll have you know that I am a member of the Screen Actors Guild, but you will not see me picketing on the front lines. I never understood sign holders.
What would you put on your sign to go picket with the other SAG members?
I would put the same thing that I saw from my favorite sign that I ever saw in any crowd, and that's Chuck's Ass Stinks. That was in the third row of the WWF pay-per-view Unforgiven. It said Chuck's Ass Stinks. And I still, to this day, have no clue who Chuck is.
I was going to say, is this Chuck Liddell? But it's not.
No. There was nobody. This is back when the WWE still had. Now, there were names, but it was still The Rock, The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steel. There was no Chuck. And it just said Chuck's Ass Stink. This guy had somebody in his life.
His buddy at home. He roasted him real good.
Kind of like you got me with the lamb's breath. Chuck's Ass Stinks maybe is some sort of fantasy football punishment.
Oh, man.
And I will tell you, we had a very competitive league / have a very competitive league. Brings out the best / worst. Actually, mostly the worst.
The worst.
It brings out the worst.
I don't like any of my friends for, what is it now, 14 weeks?
I can honestly say, and this is 100% true, that many of the battles that take place on the digital field, they transfer over to real life.
Oh, yeah.
Certain people won't talk to other people if they do something that they perceive. Like if somebody votes against a trade or something like that, you better not see them.
I'll see you in 5 years. You veto a trade? You veto my trade? Okay.
So, Mr. Papa Giorgio, you know, when he would get frustrated at times, and I told you guys that I handle the league in terms of, you know, I renew it on Yahoo and set everything up. And one time, Papa Giorgio insulted me, he insulted everyone in the group text, and he said, "This is just a league of clowns." And I took that, and I went to a place called Fiverr, where you can find people to do anything for $5, essentially. I've told you guys about this before. It's a website where you become the outsourcer. I'm not saying this is a great thing. I'm not saying it's a great thing to make a guy do this for $5. But there was a guy offering his service, the free market. He said he would dig up a message out of the jungle. He would dig up a message out of a jungle and like open a scroll and read it like some sort of lost message, some lost treasure, one-eyed Willie Goonies message. So I paid this guy $5 to dig up a message from the jungle that said
League of Clowns.
So there is a video, and I didn't put it. I was waiting. I was waiting until he directly insulted me. He never really directly insulted me for the rest of the season, so I never got a good chance to use it that season. Then I forgot about it. Then I brought it up last year when you were on some of that lamb's breath.
Oh, yeah.
And then I sent you, you're like, are you kidding me?
It was a crazy idea. I didn't even know people do stuff like that.
So this website, by the way, your own free time, go check it out. There are people who will, they go, I will cast a spell to make your ex fall in love with you. And they have a full advertisement. And they put tiers like $5 standard love, $15 a lot of love.
I got to check this out.
Yeah. So those are the types of things. You said you were looking up some punishments. Weirdly enough, the only punishments that my friends get, well, being in the league is perennial punishment, but we charge last place $100 and second to last $50. But we don't do any of that funny stuff.
I think we should. I would love that. Got some ideas. Open mic comedy night.
I've heard that you make the person who finishes in last place do stand-up comedy.
Oh my God, I would love to see that.
I guess I would have to do a different one.
This is a brutal one. Taking the SATs or the ACTs. Go sign up and take the SATs. I don't remember how long that test was, but
It ain't sure.
I definitely, I don't have the patience for that.
You can just do that as an adult?
I believe so. Out of these three, I mean, this is tattoo or piercing.
No, I would refuse. I mean,
which one are you picking out of these three?
Well,
you're probably doing open mic.
Of course. I mean, I mean, you were there and freaking I've done standard mic nights. I would have to get a different one, so I can't choose that one. But of those two, what was number 2?
SATs.
That's just annoying.
For me, that's the last one. I can't do that.
But the
one.
thing is,
that's
the,
like
the
torture.
result doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't care. Just making me sit there for all that time having to fake scribble in answers that I don't know. I'm out.
A piercing is to get to
tattoo or piercing.
I'm not doing tattoo's wild. That is the SAT's 3 hours. A tattoo's for life.
Yeah,
I think we'd be more creative. Like, although those are pretty good.
What do you think? It would be tough to get the whole. I mean, we have 14 people in the league to go along with something.
Like, for example, our friends will never compliment each other ever. They never say nice things. Oh, especially in the group. Personally, they'll tell you, "Oh man, I really think you're great." But if there's a group, it's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, one-on-one, it's totally different.
It's knives to the throat in the group. I think maybe something like the loser should have to do a video, just saying what's best about each person in the league. That would be great. Something like that. And I know somebody out there.
The reverse of a roast?
Because they don't know the construction of our friend group.
Sure. The dynamics.
Just to have to say those things. But these miserable pricks will give you backhanded compliments.
Mm-hmm. They'll
give you like, oh, nobody enjoys a hamburger with the grace of Nick Papa Giorgio. So.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Everything.
The last place person, you could just have the other 13 people roast them. Really do a roast.
Wait a minute. I'm onto something. What did we say last week about the majority of our friends? They are rather
large.
Yes. So what do rather large people do not enjoy? What do they not enjoy doing?
Not eating.
Think about
running.
We have to watch them run a mile.
Oh my goodness.
Run the mile.
Got to be more than a mile.
I would love to do more than a mile. I don't think these people are capable of it.
I don't care if they got to walk half of it.
And it has to be filmed.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is.
I think we should be throwing things at them while they're doing it. Maybe tomatoes or something like that.
Yeah, so like definitely in the stands, heckling with a megaphone. Absolutely.
Big time. Big time.
We're on to see. This is how brainstorming sessions start. Definitely something food related, fat related.
I think our friends would rather get a tattoo than to run a mile. I'm not kidding. You know?
That's actually hilarious.
Even if it takes them 10 minutes to do the mile, that's not a fast mile. They'd rather get a lifetime tattoo than to run for 10 minutes straight.
I'm actually going.
I'm in that group.
I'm going to pose this
them.
question at the draft. I'm going to see how many.
You'll get more tattoo yeses than running yeses.
Oh my God, that is pretty freaking hysterical. That is absolutely hysterical. All right, Mr. Papa Giorgio. What else is on the docket? You know what? Tell me the name of this person behind me. Do you know?
Lena the Plug.
Lena the Plug.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Lena the Plug behind me.
Yeah.
At first, when I saw it, I thought it was like an old picture of China. This is the meme, by the way. This meme is everything. Like, when you find out the red zone countdown. Yeah, there's a I'm almost upset that you gave that because it's so, that feeling when you blah, 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 blah. So this picture, if you haven't seen it, I'm introducing you to the meme that is everywhere
Lena
right now.
The Plug.
So Lena the Plug is, I made sure not to look up anything. I literally know minimal about this, but you're going to educate me somewhat. And I think this is something that people have to do. You have to have education sessions with what's going on. This kid at work told me this. I hate giving him credit. It's a great, great point. He said, do you want to know one of the main reasons why you see so many relationships with massive age disparity now? Before when you never used to see something like that as much, or it was just kind of weird or ridiculed. My first answer was, social media is just kind of doing all that. He said, yes, but really, if you think about it, if you were a 42-year-old guy and you were going to go out with a 23-year-old girl, and this is 1986, you have no clue the shows they're referencing. You have no clue the music that's on in their car. You're never speaking about the same thing. There is no overlap on the Venn diagram of what do these people know.
Sure.
But now what social media has done with like everything that's trending and the talked about stuff, it put everybody on the same page. Everybody knows these musicians. Everyone knows who's the idiot, my brother, like Tekashi 6ix9ine, all this stuff. Where in the past, if you grew up in the 80s, you had Whitesnake on in the car.
Sure.
And then somebody 15 years after that, it's just a whole different, it's more like Pop Sugar Ray and stuff like that. The two just wouldn't blend and so on and so forth. But now it allows people with huge age gaps to kind of just, all right, what's trending on Twitter? Who's that? So as the resident old guy, these are the kind of conversations we have to have. So you can kind of help me out here. And also, I guess, just a lack of interest. I'm assuming from this screenshot that this Lena the Plumber, what's her name?
Lena the Plug.
Lena the Plug. She's an OnlyFans girl. I'm imagining.
She is not. She is she's a Snapchat, Instagram person, YouTuber who is married now to this guy, Adam 22.
And this is how you know, by the way, you got those actors striking. You want to know what their names are? Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
You want to know what the names of non-celebrities are? Adam 22, Lena the
Plug.
The Plug. They're gimmicks. You want to know the difference between actual performers and influencers? The names don't have to come with gimmicks attached. Lena the Plug and Adam 22. 21 came before him. And they're a YouTube couple?
Yeah, so he does a podcast where they do interviews.
Is this the show where that girl admitted to like hooking up with everyone on like the Denver Nuggets or something like that?
I believe so. Yeah, a while ago, right?
So this guy, these aren't like porn stars?
So what they do is they interview someone, and then him and Lena the Plug have sex with her on film.
Wait, hold on. Let's first rewind. Lena and this guy were two separate YouTube personalities?
Yes.
Not associated with OnlyFans or porn.
No. Him, I believe, porn. But her, no. She was just risque pictures, Snapchat,
Your standard 2012 to 2022.
Sure. Nothing
posting ass shots.
Crazy, yeah.
And now it's slowly built up. And then the natural progression is we're going to get paid big money for this.
Well, yeah. And then she was never with another guy before this. She was just with him on film.
So this guy was...
So after they got married, the guy, Adam 22, allowed her to have sex with this guy.
But didn't beforehand.
Did not beforehand.
So post-marriage...
She did her first scene without him with another guy.
But she's doing scenes now. So essentially he brought her into the porn world that he was in, and now since she's in it, she gets to branch out?
So I don't know if it's going to go past this one. We'll see if they... I'm sure they'll still continue with the, sharing of a girl between the two of them.
You ever hear of 1 step forward, 2 steps back? That's essentially what society is, except it's a whole hell of a lot more than 2 steps back. This guy, I mean, anybody who ever tells you that these type of gimmick, no, it's cool, it's professional, and then we just... No, it doesn't work like that. If somebody says something to me in a way that's insulting to me, even remotely, I remember it 12 years later. I can only imagine the image, the actual images. The guy can purchase the images. The videos are out there, and you can pause on anyone and hit screenshot. Something is deeply wrong with some of these people, and there's no way you think this story ends in happily ever after.
I mean, he just bought her a Lamborghini SUV to celebrate her doing this scene with this guy. You think
I don't know what a panic gift is? There's all this going on. Everyone's calling him a cuck and this and that. So what do?
Simping.
You go, I don't care. No, I don't care. I don't care so much. Here's a Lamborghini. You think I was kidding? You think I would get a Lamborghini if I was kidding? It's the panic gift to validate his fake opinion or his fake belief, the one that he's trying to project onto us, that he doesn't care. He shivers in the night.
He's got to care. She said she was so sore that it hurt to even have sex with her husband the first week.
This is closer to the WWE than it is reality. This is maybe it's all. Is this the scam of the week? Is this the scam of the week? Just getting people to buy in and believe? Because this thing must have got so popular that it found its way to my timelines. Because I can tell you, I'm not actively seeking this stuff out.
I'm sure their followers have skyrocketed.
I heard somebody say, every time you think like the black hole of the internet just reached its lowest point. No, let me introduce you to the next level, and that is. I can't remember this girl. I keep thinking Zeke the Plumber. Well,
I love that you said Lena the Plumber. I love that one.
Lena the Plumber and Adam 22. That's the new bottom of the black hole. The black holes that will be investigated further. I'm only providing updates because they're relatively big ones. I told you guys there's a story that nobody cares about. It's unfortunate. Nobody cares that government officials have come forward and said, there are aliens and recovered bodies from spacecraft. If you would have said this 20 years ago, people are immediately calling you just crazy, everything under the sun. You're excommunicated from society. You're in the same type of class where it's like, and then ghosts, they rose up from the dead, and then they helped me out in the middle. I was just watching Game of Thrones. If you told me about like the Stannis shadow that the woman birthed out of her, that's the level that you were thought of if you brought up these aliens and UFOs. So now we have the government officials coming out saying these things are real. Well, the next step is there's a public hearing. Not one of these private ones. I told you that they were classified hearings. Supposedly those things were so crazy, what happened in them, that there's an additional hearing. And it's all being accelerated. Nothing in government is ever accelerated. If you need to get a road fixed by you, it takes 16 years. 16 years. The Van Wyck Expressway has been under construction since 1978, and it's still not done. So all of a sudden this stuff is being pressed and accelerated. Now, I can't tell you why. One of a couple of reasons. Number one, maybe something's going to happen. Number two, like the Titanic is sinking and everyone knows like, yo, they're going to get us. So just give what you got now and jump off. But there is a hearing that I believe this one's going to be available to the public. I think you can literally watch this on those news, those channels that you will always skip by.
C-SPAN
or C-SPAN 2. Knowing how much coverage this topic gets, it's going to be on C-SPAN 2. But I want to see what these rat bastards have to say. And I want to see, well, they're not allowed. The worst part about this is the best stuff that they say they have is still classified. Maybe they'll talk about it. I want to see that classified shit. I want to. And the thing that I always find the craziest of this, I really don't care about the little green men. The fact that the government can lie to you for 50, 60 years, because everyone always says, well, nobody can stay a secret for that long. The definitive proof that you can get screwed for a lifetime. Yeah, a full lifetime. They can hold, suppress, and keep things quiet until they have to kind of bring it out. And that's just, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Do you find it fascinating at all? And you can be honest.
We're on the same page. I'd love to see what's been covered up and how they were actually able to cover it up for all these years. But I am more interested in the little green men and what ships they came in on.
The ships are kind of interesting, but what do you want to know about the green men?
Oh, man, what are they doing here? What do they look like? What are they?
Well, I think we do. Apparently, I know this sounds corny.
I know. People say we do know there's sketches, there's pictures.
It sounds corny, but all the renditions of people who have kind of come forward, it's all like that chalky one that you see
big
in
eyes.
Movies. Yeah, the big eyes. And you imagine that? Just a generic, it's almost like, it's almost like a disappointment.
Are you scared if you saw one in the street?
I have no desire. If there was one in the street, if you told me aliens were in the street, I would not go. I don't know. The odds of my life getting back, I still have things that I want to do. The odds that me going out there and confronting those aliens is going to accelerate that. I tell everyone this. If there are aliens, your AT&T bill is probably going to go up. It ain't even staying the same. It's probably going up because now they could argue, well, now there could be potential interference, so they can come up with excuses.
Kind of sounded like an alien there.
Nothing that I go out there and do is going to end up good. For how many stories say, oh yeah, then I actually ran into these aliens and I got abducted and everything was great. No, the stories are never great. I have no need.
HDMI thing, it says.
Please hold.
No signal.
Sorry about that, technical difficulties. And if you ever need any proof that I'm not going to go deal with aliens, it's the fact that I started talking about visiting aliens and seeing aliens, everything just cuts out. No signal. That's one thing that these people say, by the way. If you ever try to record it, all your phones and devices just die. And I guess that was just proof of it right there. So before the aliens cut this out again, Mr. Papa Giorgio, is there anything that you would like to mention, bring up? The video you showed me before was of who? Was it?
Oh, Dan Quayle, former vice president of George Bush. He was asked at a golf event about, of all things, UFOs and aliens. And they actually said that this was a topic of discussion, a heated topic of discussion in the Oval Office. 88 to 92, I think he said.
You won't believe, this is in our administration back in 88 to 92 or 89, 93. That was a topic of discussion periodically in the Oval Office.
Yeah,
so
back then. It's the only thing I think about. Yeah, now it's Liv versus the PGA Tour. Yeah, boys.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it? All right, I'll sleep safe tonight. Thank you, DQ.
Thanks, DQ.
I read that the JFK assassination may have ties because he knew a good amount about, this is how quickly you can go into wacky, uncharted territories.
Yep.
But I know if I keep talking about it,
you get the eye rolls.
Yeah, and then the aliens will shut this off on me for a second time. Thank you guys for coming back once again. I will be back with you next week. We still got, what's today's, or what week is it?
It's July 19th.
So that means what, six-ish weeks, and then we're out of hell. We are smooth sailing with the weather and the sports. But until then, I'll be with you on a weekly basis. Make sure you hit those notifications. And the only reason I say that, subscribe and hit the notifications, because I release the podcast at different times. I try to record it I always want to do it early week, ends up doing it being out midweek or late week. Hit the notification so you know when it's coming out. If this is on YouTube, subscribe, tell your friends, subscribe. I'm going to do the podcast or the show with me and Ronick and put it on here. So if you're a gambler or this or that, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Subscribe.
Let people know. And now I sound like one of those other, I sound like Lena the Plumber, just begging people for subscribers. And hey, it got her to the top. Maybe I will be. No, my wife will not be doing any of those things because I don't have a wife. All right, everyone, I will be back with you next week. Take it easy. I will talk to you then.